Well, welcome to the Motley Croc Show. It is September 5th, 2024. We've got a really heavy-duty thunderstorm over top of us coming in, so I'm just going to log in here and hope to God it doesn't really affect too much of what we're doing, and I'm going to bring in, of course, the Manic Satanic. What's up, Jeff?
What's up, y'all?
And
Brittany.
Oh, Lord, I hope I don't freeze.
Yeah, I know this storm is coming in.
I'm
Oh, I'm
trying.
echoing.
It says that my stuff is good, so I'm not touching
Jeff's
shit.
really
Jeff's
echoey
echoey when I talk to him.
Well, that's not good.
Oh, you too,
You too, Troy.
Crazy.
Am I echoey? I
Nope.
hope not.
Nope.
Okay, good.
Well, we'll
We'll
fine
tune it real quick. I'm gonna see here.
I know what's going on, though. You know what's going on? You guys aren't in my headset.
Is that what's going on? Jeff?
Yep.
There we
Yep.
go.
Good now.
I think that got it.
I think so too.
Brittany was fucking it all up because she had it blasting loud.
I'm sorry. I did. Well, I
That's
thought you
what
guys
was
were in my
ruining it.
headphones, and all of a sudden, I ruin everything. I'm such a party pooper.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's probably the
Please.
clearest that I've seen you project there in a while, and you have a thunderstorm overhead. So that's speaks for
So I guess I
something.
need energy interference from natural energy.
Beginners, David Zeke, what's up?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah, while we're waiting for people to kind of come in, they're probably trying to get those last minute things done before the storm hits over. But obviously, as you all know, I went and got tattooed, so I got tattooed this week. And
What'd you get?
oh well, Jeff,
What's up, Judy?
let me just send that to you real quick, there, good sir.
Hey,
While
it's
I'm
good.
talking here, I'm gonna send this over to Jeff real quick, just because I just think it would be good for him to have it.
Hi,
Do
Tara.
that real quick.
Hey, Tara. Hey, Judy.
Everybody's popping in. As soon as they pop in, we'll get rolling on the rest of this stuff here.
Whoa. Hi, Sean.
Sean too. Everybody's coming
It's nice
in,
when
huh?
they pop in right at the beginning of the show, because then we can actually call out who's in the chat and we can say hi to them properly.
100%.
It's really nice when we can do that. It's like, what's up? Hey, Tank.
Hey, Scarlett.
You
Hey,
haven't been
Tank.
on in a while, right? I don't think I've seen
Yeah, I haven't
Tank
seen Mr.
name
Barnes in a while. No. Nope. You just got that there, Jeff. So anyways.
Oh, that's
we went
awesome. I forgot you were getting that.
Good to see you, David. It turned
I'll
out
put
nice,
it-
didn't it?
Ass, too.
Oh, it's badass.
Who did that?
Tom down at Vintage Tattoos. He's the owner of Vintage Tattoos.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
that's where we're going to be on the 13th.
Okay.
And
What's up,
yeah,
Jeff?
so we were down there talking with Jeff. What's up? And I don't know. That's just he did a bang up job on that.
Yeah,
bro.
it was killer,
I mean,
dude.
I said
Really
turn it
nice.
on to do what you're going to do and turn it on. So yeah, we're going to be going down there on the 13th. Brittany's going to show up too. Everybody's excited. There's going to be food trucks out there. I have actually, if you go onto my at the Motley Croc Show on Instagram and you look it up, it's the logo's up in there and it tells you where it's going to be and the address and all that kind of stuff too. So I'll redo it again in stories as well. That means it'll hit my Facebook stories and it'll hit my Instagram stories. So if you guys see that, we'll be out there. We're going to bring some animals, some cool stuff, some spooky animals. The owl definitely is going to go with us this time. And we're going to go out there and just have a really good time with them. And they're a great place. You got to check it out one day, Jeff. We got to go down there.
Where's it
really enjoy it. Orlando.
Oh, okay.
So we'll definitely go over there and do that. But I'll get into a little story about that in a little bit. But Brittany and I were discussing.
Hi, Michelle.
We were talking about. I'll jump into it real quick. We were talking about people who, when they see ghosts in clothing, right? Now to me, I just don't think that's. I've never had an experience like that. So like, if you see something or hear someone, I think sometimes, and Brittany's theory is, and it's in depth about her theory is time bending, like we're actually crossing over. So I'll tell the story about why I'm bringing it up, and then we'll talk about Brittany can kind of touch a little bit more on it too. And Jeff, you obviously know all of that. You follow along, but for those of you that don't. So while Tom was tattooing my leg, we were talking about, paranormal and just really cool things. Their place is definitely decorated like you would be in a vampire's house. I mean, it's just it's horror and everything. It's an amazing place. They do a great job. So, and he's telling me, he used to see this when I was a kid up in Connecticut. He lived in a house that was built really, really long time ago. And I don't want to say the year, but I just know it was way back in the day. And when he was a kid, he would see this man in the house all the time. You know, he could describe his clothing and how he looked, and he just kept seeing it, and even looking out the window at him. Sometimes when he would be outside playing with his friends, he said he would be looking out the window at me, and I thought that was really cool. And I guess a little bit of time went on, and they had got into the photo albums, and he was like, "That's the man I see," and he pointed at him, and I guess it was his grandfather that he had never met, but he lived in the house that his grandfather died in. That was his grandfather's house. So he either, that was the house he lived in before he died, or he died in it, or whatever, but that was his house. Like, he lived in it. So it was interesting that he ended up seeing that, because I'm like, man, and he's like, they don't, why would they wear clothes? Like any type of energy. What's up, Jay? Any type of energy is going to bring forth like an image of some sort, or maybe a higher level of communication. But so we'll get into the theory of time bending with you, Brittany, and how sometimes you're really not seeing ghosts. We just live in universes, and sometimes they parallel each other, and then we can just kind of go off that a little bit. So why don't you explain that? 'Cause I'm sure Tom's going to tune in.
What's up there, Abe Lincoln's beard?
I'm just warning everybody. It's been a rough week. Okay, bro. I look a little homeless. I could fit in on Skid Row right now. So
God, I hate tank tops. God, I fucking can't stand tank tops. This guy's the only guy I know that can pull off a tank top, dude.
Hold on, I
fucking tank top.
I'm shocked
that
it's
tiny
black.
shirt now.
Like it's normally gray.
Yeah.
So
but it was supposed to be white.
Somebody bought me some.
But he's that guy, bro. He's like straight up like a 90s kid, like the big DC shoes with the Dickies and the tank top, but like
gotta get him some
thin,
Jankos.
but like pin thin, so it's like a pencil and a pair of pants and shit, always like hanging low.
Always been like that, brother. Come on now.
That was
you
Jay,
can, Michelle. You can.
Come on now. You know that. I got that. Hold on. I got something for you. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
We can still hear you.
We did not digress. We did not digress, folks. We will be talking about parallel universes here shortly.
Oh, you're about to digress. I promise you that. You asked for this shit. Just remember that.
Well, what is he putting on? This sounds
He's
like
struggling, so it's got to be something.
Yeah, dog's upset. Is that
The Alligator Wrestling Championships, right?
Yes, it is, Brooks. Absolutely. You wanted a fucking t-shirt, bro. Pick one.
That's really good, but
who wore it better?
Actually, it actually looks better.
Of course.
It's a bit tight. I feel like I can feel my own heartbeat right now. Shit. Shh. Come here. Come here.
Isn't it made to fit Taito across the chest?
Yeah, so my boobies look good, bro.
Right. But so now that Justin has rocked an FAWC shirt, Brittany, for those of you who don't know, that's the Alligator Wrestling Championship stuff. That they'll be Googling FAWC. What is that? Is that a joke about the FWC?
Justin.
But anyways, go ahead, Brittany. So I want to talk about that because he was seeing his grandfather.
Yeah.
But his grandfather was close. So you're not going to see supernatural. And now this is my opinion, because I'm not going to know until I'm dead. But I just don't believe that you're going to see supernatural wearing the same clothes. I mean, these are just, even our bodies stay behind. So why would it be like, yo, we're just going to take the whole image with you that you died? And I know you hate that shirt, Jeff, but we have to, I didn't mean to put that one on before I went. Well,
I know,
so
right? You don't want to die in clothes that don't look good on you.
You're like, oh, let me just throw on my robe real quick because I want to go back to bed. And then you get hit by a fucking car, and now you're roaming around your own house for the 1,000 years in a robe. It's just weird, dude. I mean, I would play it up. I'd be like Hugh Hefner, but still. So what do you think?
Sleeping in an ascot in a robe.
Yes.
If you were to ask me, I think he was seeing his grandpa existing in the house in a different time period. I think they were both alive at the same time. And it would be quite fascinating if there was a way to have talked to his grandfather to say, do you ever see a little boy around the property or around the house, just to see if he noticed and saw him? Because then you would actually have confirmation. Obviously, we can't do that, unfortunately, but I do firmly believe that both of the timelines were bending into one, and he was seeing him more frequently there.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because there is documentation where, like, in the late 1800s, actually late 1700s, 1800s, whatever, where people document seeing like children in their house.
Yeah.
Right. So they are seeing children running around in there, and like, like I just don't think. I think we're on a different level. I don't think like a child dies and stays a child forever like a vampire. I think our energy, our energy is, in my opinion, is hundreds of thousands of years old, if not longer.
Right.
And so when we go into a vessel, right, that's just my opinion. If your vessel dies, like me, you, and Justin and Jeff, our spirits, we all like die at the same time, and we escalate or discalate, whatever you want to call it. And we're all going to be that energy, but we're not going to be like, Justin was only 12 in that universe, and Jeff was 55, and Troy was 2. It's not going to be like that.
Yeah, no, I don't. For one, I don't think any child stays behind, to be honest with you. I don't believe any child in death stays behind at all. There's no reason for them. They don't have business.
Nobody
I don't
does.
believe in any of that BS.
I don't think nobody stays behind, really.
No, but I do agree with you. When our soul leaves the body, like the presence of energy, however you observe it, no matter what, it is made of pure energy and light, right? So when we leave, there is no reason for this shell to go with us. There's no matter even biblically or in different cultures or different beliefs, these are just the shells that we're on this planet in. That's it. And so I agree with you that when we leave the state and we go to the next dimension, that we are just in a spiritual state. Do I think that there's familiarity and similar things within the face that if we were to see that spirit, we know it's the feeling, the sense, there's an element to that energy that we immediately know it's family, or we immediately know it's that person. But I do think there are people that are closed off.
You know how I know it would be Jay?
How?
You would be late.
You'd be sitting there like trying to conjure him, and they'd be like,
so
anytime now he's gonna come, and then it's gonna be like, I'm
Tuesday.
here.
Tuesday of next
It'd be
year.
right when everybody starts walking out of the seance. That's what I'd be like, wait, I'm here.
I'll be there Tuesday. Now that could be a Tuesday, any 4 Tuesdays in any month.
That's the best part about not specifying.
That's right. But no, I agree. I mean, as far as time bending goes, there was an actual story that I researched and actually spoke to one of the owners of the house regarding the issue, because I was like, let me get this straight. So your kids are telling you that there is an old angry man who hides and runs throughout the house and yells at them, and when can get in close proximity tries to hurt them. But you can't see this man, but your kids can. And they were like, yeah. And so this went on and on and on. And I said, have you ever done any research on your house? Come to find out there was like an old man who lived on his own. His wife had passed away, and kind of became like reclusive, didn't like kids, didn't like the noise, just everything in his life started to fall apart, and he died in the home. And so they believed, somebody had told them, a paranormal group, that basically a demon had taken the form of the old man and was torturing the kids. And I was like, holy shit, don't call the priest. That's not true. Like, whoa, let's calm down with that for just a second. Because I said, has there been any physical harm to the children? Have there been any scratches? Has there been bruising when they sleep? Like anything? She's like, no. And so I was like, okay, then I wouldn't consider demonic yet. There's elements that start to bring in demonic entities into a home, and this is not that. So after talking to them, or talking to her for a while,
what's up, Israel?
I literally was like, you know what? No, I think what's happening is he's not really going senile. I think the old man, I think their times were bending, and he was going nuts in his own home, getting frustrated, seeing these little kids that weren't there and screaming and yelling, like, and the little kids were like, he would just stand and scream at us and yell at us, but he couldn't get to us. Like, he didn't do anything to us. Then he would go and hide in different parts of the house. Then he wouldn't be there. And so I told her, I said, honestly, I just think you are experiencing literally time bending. The kids are experiencing the man, and the man is freaking out, screaming at them to go away, like he's seeing ghosts.
So we're even cranky in death? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm just, he just got really frustrated. So I just think that energy.
Well, because he was just alive. And there's a couple kids running around the house,
dealing
right?
with
Is that
it.
what you're saying?
Right. Yes. Okay. His wife had passed on, and he died in the home. And this was like in the 80s, and had passed away in the home, and it had gone through multiple owners, and multiple owners had seen what they thought was an angry old man in their home. So I just think that the time was lapsing. and literally blending into one. And this old man was getting frustrated and fighting within his own timeline because he was experiencing and hearing things in his home, or maybe even seeing them, and just frankly going mad. Like he thought he was going mad, but he really wasn't.
I see an angry old man every time I look in the mirror.
Every time I open my eyes, bro. So I can't speak much on this, but based off of everything you're saying, does that mean then the fucking old guy thinks he's seeing ghosts too?
Yes.
100%. That's the
exactly.
whole theory of
That's the whole
universe.
theory of time bending. So time bending is where both so like let's say you're in the middle of let's say you're in Tombstone, right? You and Troy, Jay, okay,
we were there.
Justin, you're all there.
Yeah.
You're walking down the middle of the street during the day, and you're like, "Wow, I see that cowboy there. Man, he really got dressed up." And he's walking past you, and all of a sudden, poof, he looks at you, and he's gone. You and Troy are like, "Holy shit, what the fudge? Did we just see a ghost?" No. I think that you saw the past overlapping with the present. And so you both thought you both saw a ghost, but in fact, you saw each other in two different timelines, but they're bending into one. And Einstein talks about this a lot in a lot of his
Einstein
work
was
with
good
bending of time. Mm-hmm.
Now, but here's the thing about what I was going to say about to top that is that not to top what you said, but to add a top to that whole story. There's literature and documentation of them seeing people that don't look like they're supposed to be there. Now, wasn't very descriptive, but they were not dressed the same, or they had this weird looking jacket on or whatever. So nothing that they're used to, kind of like if all of us here are familiar with Back to the Future, when they go back, they thought that Michael J. Fox was walking around in a life vest.
Yeah, with his
a big puffy jacket.
Because in the 80s, that was like the northern base. You walked around with a marshmallow on like you were fucking cool, And so when you think about that, when I think about it, they're like, "Oh, who's the fucker in the life jacket or whatever?" I just remember that was funny, but yeah. So if they see stuff like that, like I and I'm not even talking about like where you look online and someone goes, "Oh, time traveler was here." I've looked at things and I've seen, and you'll see somebody standing in the middle of an old picture. And they're not even supposed to be like, it looks like me and Jeff were just standing there dressed like we are right now. And that was not the thing to do in that time, Right. I know when people sometimes look like they're on a phone, a lot of the ladies in the old days would like hold up a mirror to look at themselves or whatever. And it may have looked like a phone, or, they're trying to, listen to something that they're holding. Like my theory on breaking that one where the older woman in the old 1800s is walking down the street like this, right? She could have been holding a pocket watch, and they used to listen to those to make sure they were clicking. So there's a lot to that as well. I mean, that can be debunked. But when you clearly see somebody like in a Motley Crue T-shirt taken in 1914, like that, I mean, I know it's AI, but if you were to see something like that, you're like, okay.
Have you seen Motley Crue lately? They look like they were born in 1914.
Well,
they do.
You know what's funny though is like, so when I went and did Night of Terror,
only Vince.
Right? Oh my God, he's ridiculous, dude.
When I was up in Virginia City and we were filming Night of Terror, we were up in one of the main the Washoe Club, and it didn't actually make the cut, which I'm sad that it did because we ran an experiment. So we were in the back room, which was the red room, and this was, of course, unfortunately, like kind of where the ladies were for the men to kind of do what they want. And so there were reports of like the door opening, closing, sounds of women, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, Craig, I can talk about that too.
Judy had a good point too.
But they basically we were running the experiment. I said, I want to try something. It was really late. And I said, if they say the door opens, it's possible that it's opening in that time if they're hearing people in the room, coming and going. So sorry, I'm getting distracted with.
I'm just leaving it up for the people to read while you're telling your story, and then we can touch on it.
Yeah. So anyway, so I said, I just want to run this experiment. So I started acting as if I was a call girl in the room, but my door was stuck. So I was standing there and I was like, "Hey, can anyone help me? I'm really sorry. My door is stuck. Can someone come get the door open for me?" And I'm saying it. I said it like 3 times. Then all of a sudden we heard footsteps coming down the hallway. Now ghosts do not, I want everyone to understand me. If they can walk through walls, they do not have footprints. You don't hear that. They don't leave footprints. You can't hear footsteps. It doesn't happen. We're talking about dimensional time bending at that point. Okay. Now you're physically hearing somebody else that you cannot see moving in your home. Okay.
Right.
So anyway, so we hear the footsteps coming down. It comes right to the damn door, and the doorknob actually jiggles. There's nobody on the other side. Jack was very particular about how many people are on the floor with us, and he wanted to make sure everybody was accounted for so that nobody was told to be quiet. There was nobody there. Get extremely serious, which I respected. And we hear it, and the doorknob jiggled. And I looked at them, and they're like, "Oh my God," we're like, "This is so cool." And then I kept saying, "Yeah, that's right. Can you please open the door?" And then it stopped. And then we heard the steps walking away. I'm like, no, come back, please. You almost got my door open. And it came back. You could hear the steps coming back to the door again, but then the doorknob didn't move. You could just hear it.
Crazy, dude.
And we're sitting there going, holy shit, this is working. So we were discussing it. My producer friend Nina and I were discussing it. We're like, that's what I'm talking about, to where the dimension of time, someone's hearing you literally talking, though they can't see you. So I don't know what time of day it was. They could have opened that door all the way in their time frame, but for us, it was just a partial. We don't know
What's up, Matthew?
how intense the time was, but this happens so often to where people will be like, "Oh, I was in this building and I totally heard a couple arguing next door to me last night in the room, like in an old building." And you'll go downstairs and they're like, "No, there was nobody in the room next to you last night." And that's just because whatever took place in that room.
Yeah.
This could happen over and over and over again. And the deeper you look into time bending, it could go as far as like, Troy, you place something down in your kitchen and you go back and you're like, wait, what the fudge? Where did it go? Like, I literally stuck it there. Then you walk all over your house, but guess what? You come back. It's right where it was, where you put it. You literally just slipped into a time bend and you didn't even realize it. You literally just slipped in time.
Jeff, here's a question for you, because you just got kind of a newer house and stuff, kind of what you're saying. Now, have you ever been in a situation, because I have here, but have you ever been in a situation where you're just chill, but you kind of hear like, and it's hard to explain. It's almost like you're kind of like comfortable with the sound enough to where you hear it, and then at the end you go, "Wow, that was weird. I wasn't supposed to hear that." Like,
yeah,
family
it happens all the time.
Yes,
I'll usually go chase it down.
Yes.
I get up out of bed and go try to find the source.
Yes, I was laying in bed the other night, and I think a lot of times you definitely, you either really have to meditate heavy to get your mind open, or you have to like smoke a bowl. I mean, because if you don't get your,
I do one of those every night.
Okay, me too. But if you don't get, and I'm going to jump to what you were talking about too, Judy. But if you don't get your subconscious opened enough and relaxed enough to do that, so I'm like, I unwind and I just lay back, dude, and I'll be reading an article or looking. I heard this whole conversation downstairs. Bring down the paper. It's a lady. Bring down the paper. You're taking too long. I have to get it into the kitchen or something. And I heard it, and I'm. Okay, you're not on the phone, are you? Nope, I'm not on the phone. And then I look again. I'm like, that's hilarious. And then I'm like, wow, I wasn't supposed to hear that, but I was so comfortable, as if I was living in that moment, that split second, and they were talking in the hallway, and I wasn't concerned. And then when it was over, I was like, holy shit, I should have been hearing that. And that's been happening a lot, like a lot lately. Now, I do go to places where there are fatalities or catastrophes or haunts, and I always bring something back here. I always try to bring it back, right? Because I like enjoy the play, the feeling like you're going to get me when I go down the stairs, right? I get that a lot. Sometimes I'm like, I'm carrying shit. Don't fuck with me, you know. but
depending on the
like
time
you'll feel it. You'll feel it
ways.
sometimes, and if you get like really open to it, you'll like start to feel it. Now, it could be complete fabrication of your mind, and that's great too. But it's still fun, because the way the world is now, it just sucks. So it's kind of like my own little haunt. But when people come to me and say something was tapping on me last night in the bed, the dogs were all locked up, so I don't know what to tell you. And I get that sometimes from people that you would never think would say that, right?
Yeah.
Well, didn't you have some shit in one of the hotels? Remember that?
Who?
One of the hotels. Troy. One of the hotels. He was straight across from me or whatever. And in the morning, he woke up. He was like, dude, there was some fucking shit going on in there last night. And I was even like, there's fucking 2 beds in here, hop in here. He's like, I don't give a shit, but it happened.
Oh, that's right. That was an old hotel, though, too. That's right.
Dude, it was just annoying stuff, man. I remember that now.
Mm-hmm.
See, it happens so much now that I don't even. I guess
so to talk about Judy's comment, yeah, I think sometimes we're too closed off, and even though they try to come to us, we don't realize it. So sometimes when I think when they come in our dreams, I do think a lot of times you'll see them in familiar clothes, something maybe that they've worn a lot that you might remember them in, so that when you do see them, you know it's them. Or even if you're half awake, half asleep, or dozing off, and you think you see something, but then you actually see that it's them and they're wearing. I think that familiarity makes you go, oh, it's so and so, or oh, it's whatever. Because I remember there was a time, Troy, you had me do binaural beats.
Oh yeah, dude.
And I went upstairs and I zoned out.
Binaural beats.
Did I say binaural? Binaural, yeah.
I didn't want it to sound like venereal or anything.
Like a disease. I was out testing stuff.
We did those VD beats back in the day.
VD. VD.
No, so I went upstairs and we talked about it and I was like, gosh, I really hope our grandparents come through. Troy and I were both talking about it. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to go upstairs and we're going to do it. Hopefully like Nanny or, somebody comes through. And what I didn't expect was I had a friend of mine who passed on years ago from cancer. And I was not expecting him to come through. I was laying there expecting somebody else. I had somebody else to manifest to come through, willingly say, I want you to visit me. I'm opening up my mind. I want you to come visit me in this room. And I just started crying because I saw him. And it wasn't like, and it's like Troy says, it's not like he's dressed in clothes and he's walking in like, hey, Britt, it's been a while. Like, it's not like that. It was very like he came through almost like liquid. He came through liquid into the room, and it was his face and his body structure. And it looked like he was wearing something, but he wasn't. It was more or less like an imagery for me to recognize, like, it is you. And then it was just kind of like he talked to me through telepathy. Like, it was in my head, like, it's okay. I'm here. I'm good. I'm okay. And I just started crying because when he passed, I just wanted to know he was okay. And I never got that closure because he didn't want anyone coming to see him in those last days because, he didn't want to go out. He wanted to go out with dignity, right? He didn't want to be seen that way. He even asked his wife to cremate him. Like, he just didn't want to be seen that way. So to see him, he looked like he did when he was younger and he was healthy and like when we did theater together. And so to see him, I was just like, holy shit. Like, it took me back. I wasn't prepared to see that.
Like, what if it's like too, like, I haven't been able to have the privilege to see anything or any of that. Usually if it's a weird experience at the house, it's because a lizard's clawing at something or something's doing something. But we'll, say my grandparents visited and they just, my grandma came and she didn't want her titties hanging out in front of her grandson. Maybe something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
that or
more shocking stuff.
Or that, or she would come in some form. I think if you try to communicate with somebody, like, I think if like if Justin could maneuver, we don't know, it's still a theory. So like, if you got to think about this, Justin, if you passed away and your kids are just fucking beside themselves and you got to get to them, to let them know, you can do things like pop up in the form of an alligator and they just know it. It's like, so I was going to say, like, if Jeff had passed away and he came to visit me, I know the way he talks and the jokes and the one-liners, right? But I remember in my mind what Jeff looks like, dude. I remember Jeff's all tatted, dude, and he's like fully tatted, and he's got like his "Quit Hating on Satan" shirt, and he could be like, "Yo, what's up, bro?" He's like, "Oh, I'm wearing my black wrap." I'm gonna see him in that, right?
Because you're seeing it.
Because you're seeing it in your brain, right? You're remembering that. It's an energy that you're going to and from, and don't forget,
you clothe them with your mind.
Yeah, we're not just like meat and cheese, dude. Like, the energy, we all run off electricity. Basically, we're electric. I mean, it's just, we know this already. But
it would essentially be the same as if I bring up a memory to you of, like, anything across the board. If I brought a memory to you of your grandpa, like when we went to go visit that one time or whatever, you would have a mental picture like I do right now. So that's what you're basically saying.
100%.
Like, okay, yeah, that's me.
That's Justin.
But then you're right, but you're putting it together yourself. It's not being put together.
Exactly. It's like, because our intelligence is far greater than obviously we give ourselves credit for. I mean, come on. And if you really start looking at, a lot of people start yelling at people and they call them conspiracy theorists or this or that. There's a lot of conspiracy theories that are just ridiculous. And then there's some, when they match them up, you're like, holy shit, that's crazy. Why would they kill that many people? Why did they take this many bells, hundreds of thousands of bells, and just take them all away from people? And then you find out 8,000 years ago that the monks use metal bowls and bells to heal themselves with sound,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you know,
ancient
then
practice.
you jump into the the 1919s, that little there, and they're taking all the bells up saying they need money for the war or whatever and all this kind of shit, and really you're taking them off churches, and then later it was a separation of church and state. It's just so twisted. So not everything is a conspiracy. A lot of it, there's a lot of shit that we were just not privileged to.
Yep.
And the world as a whole is just a big business. So our spirits are greater than that. So when we go, I think anybody, anybody here who has kids, I don't, but if you guys would want to come back and let your kids know, it's okay.
Oh, I'd want to scare the shit out of my kids.
Right?
Yeah, but they would know it's okay.
Then I'll tell them it's okay.
But that beats okay. It's Dad. He's here. Dad always did that. If you could maneuver energy, and maybe going into your next travels is you just becoming, and that's why I'm talking about the difference between time bending or you moving on, is you becoming something. Now you have to master your spirit realm and what next life you're in, and maybe you get privileges. Maybe you can get a break and go back and see how your loved ones are doing. Maybe, we don't know. It's so vast and so huge. But I think descriptions, I will see something in a room and it'll remind me of somebody that I used to know that's not here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I can take that as two things. Man, that was a coincidence. It was a cool thought. What a good feeling. Or, hey, so-and-so was fucking making sure I saw that today.
There's too the smells too. Like when you're in a room and all of a sudden you get that specific smell and you go, I only knew one person that wore that scent.
That's happened. I'm sure to every one of us here.
Yeah. And it's like that. And that's a really big one because time, if you're just, I don't think subconsciously we realize how closed off we are. And that's like why when we sleep, we have such vivid dreams. Like there's a theory out there, and I'm not saying conspiracy. I'm tired of the word conspiracy, unless it's like a government conspiracy. I'm fine saying that. But when there's theories,
people conspiring to cover it up to make it a conspiracy.
There you go. So when there's a theory in place in like the supernatural paranormal world, there is a theory that when you have dreams at night, right, and you see faces of people that you're like, how did my brain create these people? I don't even know who these people are. There's a theory that those faces you're seeing in your dream are the spirits that are around your bed watching you sleep.
Oh boy.
Well, then they're seeing some shit.
Yep.
Well, here, because so
they're around you, or
Brittany,
you
let me
slipped
give you a
into their
twist.
dimension, which is kind of
exactly.
Cool.
I have always thought. What's up, Ashley? I have always thought that when you are sleeping,
hey Merlin,
and they call it the REM or whatever, the REM, I think you actually leave your body. I think that's what dreams are. I think you're in a whole other dimension. You
like
ever fall,
astral projection.
You ever fall? You like hit the ground, bam! You wake up in your bed. Like,
oh yeah,
fuck.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's had to experience.
That's your soul. That's your soul popping back into your
slamming
body.
back.
Or you leave a little bit.
Descending into hell. Stop that.
Or you're coming out of your body, and then something triggers you back real quick, and it's called bone jumping.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll be dreaming, or one of my favorite things is you'll hear something like knocking, but in your dream it's somebody knocking on your door talking to you, but it's really the dog was scratching and hitting the floor when he was scratching. But for those couple of seconds, it's somebody knocking on your door. Hey, can you come out? And that's what you're hearing. And as you wake up, it's the dog doing this on the floor.
Yeah.
So I think when you dream, you leave your body, Jeff. I really do.
Yeah, I have those dreams, and this always happens when I fall asleep in a public or semi-public place, where I'll wake up because I feel like I'm falling, and I do the quick catch myself, move, and I get those a lot. That's just probably my sense of humor embarrassing me, making itself laugh.
Yeah, but I mean, we do that, and I just think there's a lot to sleep theory, and there's really cool if you think about it. Like you go places, and they call it lucid dreaming, but you can control it, man.
When I was a kid,
the whole body off when your circadian rhythms are off.
Right.
When
show it.
When I was a kid, I would have, I would say reoccurring dreams often or whatever. And then there was a point too where I was having dreams where I would be like, oh, I'm in a fucking dream. Like I'm dreaming.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you would run off and fucking
wake yourself up if you're cognizant of it.
Well, if you're in like a fucking terrified state or whatever, you're like, all right, let's fucking wake up. But I'm talking about just a regular dream or whatever, doing whatever. And then you find out you're in a dream and then you're like, all right, let's see how far we can take this. Let's see what we can do. So I looked into that as I was a kid. This is when the internet was still you had to dial up and all that nonsense or whatever, and they had all this information on lucid dreaming and how to do it as like a practice. Like there was things that you could do to try and control it a little bit more. And I got into that as a kid. I have no fucking idea why I got into it as a kid. I think I just wanted to be able to kind of control more of shit that was going on. If I want to jump from one building to another, or just whatever kid shit, you know what I mean? If you wanted to do like a Super Mario thing where I get to go down one of the tunnels and go to another fucking place or whatever it was. But I looked at all that stuff and looking at all the accounts of all the people that claim to or have done all this lucid dreaming, there was some, I'm talking about wicked shit these people would talk about. And they were like into it to the point where it was like an everyday practice, an everyday thing. There was a ritual they went through to be able to get to that point where they knew that once they, you know, were sleeping and in the REM state or whatever, they can have control over what was going on. So speaking to your point, I wonder if that is a point of where, yeah, you're out of, you know, you're in your mind, but not in your body type of deal. Because now you have control over everything that's going on around you type shit.
I think when you're conscious in a dream, you're not dreaming. There's a major difference between having a dream and your brain is filing the process of what you saw in the day. Like if you look back on certain dreams, you can go, oh, I did go to Panera and there was a guy in a yellow shirt. So I know that's why I was in a restaurant and I got into a fight with a guy in a yellow shirt. Like that's a dream brain created and it's just a make-believe realm. And then you wake up, you weren't really cognitive, you weren't conscious in the dream, you weren't socially aware in the dream, you weren't controlling the atmosphere or how you were talking in the dream. So I think those are dreams. When you're
just going
aware,
through the motions.
Right. When you're aware of the dream and you're actively in movement, talking to people, journeying, like going places, walking from one place to the next, like you're actually aware, like fully aware. And you wake up and you're like, I swear to God, I had like a movie dream last night, but I was the director. I honestly believe you're in a different dimension of time. Now, you could take that into other dimensional timelines, that it's you in a different timeline. So when you sleep, you're actually transcending into yourself within another timeline. And that's the life you're living. And you're consciously snapping in it and snapping out of it. Now, it's possible that you bleed into yourself in another timeline, right?
Right, I'm following.
Are you catching what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that could also be why you are like, I'm me, but maybe I have dark hair, but I'm me. Why am I me with dark hair and I'm living in a city and I'm with this person and we're doing this for work? This doesn't make any sense to me. This didn't come from some movie or something that I thought of, but you're cognitive, you're understanding, you know what you're doing. You're talking with purpose. You know exactly what's going on. It's possible that you're actually connecting to yourself from another timeline in that dream state. Or how about the dreams where all of a sudden you're doing something and a loved one pops in? And all of a sudden, you and that loved one now, who's no longer alive, are actively doing something together. Right. And you're talking for a minute. And then they're like, okay, well, I'll see you next time. And they leave you. I think you transcended into the in-between where your loved one could come and talk to you for a few minutes in the in-between world. And you saw them for a little bit. And then you went home and they went back to their dimension. Or like when you wake up the next morning, you're like, holy shit, why I got 9 hours of sleep last night. Why do I feel like I got hit by a bus? Because your soul left and went somewhere else and was active and doing things. And when it came back, you're now physically tired because your soul's tired because it was not here when you were asleep. You weren't cognitive.
I guess it makes sense too, because I think every time that I ever had those dreams where I was recognizing that, okay, I am dreaming at this point in time, it was always familiar surroundings. It was always, I was a kid at the time or whatever, so it was always on the block. It was always outside the house or inside the house or at the friend's house or whatever, but it was always definitely something that was known in, you know, in the outside world. Like I knew where I was, I knew who the people were, I knew all that shit. Rather than waking up from a dream and going, I don't know what the fuck that was all about, and I don't know where I was or who was chasing me or why it happened or all that nonsense or whatever. It was definitely more of like, okay, I know exactly where I'm at. I'm where I'm always at.
So if I'm just going to throw this out to you. So like, if let's say you're having dreams of like, you're in your neighborhood, you're not far from home, you're technically in a safe space, then a loved one could have like, if they're religious, they could have put a protection over you, which means that he's putting on the tank. It's getting serious now. Jay's putting on the tank top now. He can't breathe.
Well, fucking.
But if you, here we go. Whoa, it got hot in here real fast. Everybody calm down. No, so like let's just say
sit down, Tara.
From the waist down, Jay.
Tara, calm down.
Holly, ladies. If you are asleep and you know how like your grandmother or your mom will say a prayer over you at night for protection, like always protect them, keep them safe, keep them close, make sure they're protected. It's possible that when you're dreaming and your soul and your spirit is traveling, but you only go so far. Like for you, let's just say you're like, I'm in my neighborhood. I only went down the street to the gas station, but it's like I was tethered. I couldn't go further than that in my dream. It's possible that the protection they placed on you only allowed your soul to go so far from the home to where you'd be able to come right back to your body fully protected, so that you couldn't drift away and not be able to come back, or something could take over your body and then you would be lost in the nether forever.
Funny that you mentioned that too, because that's every night we would say prayers with my mother. At that point,
so there's a protection over you that you will always be tethered. Your soul is always tethered to wherever she is. So you're protected through like a soul protection, like kind of like a tether. So you can only go so far in the distance that she would know how to get to you to protect you. But if you go further than that, she can't protect you. So with that prayer of protection, she's now hedged you up, and now you're protected in that state, if that makes sense. So that might be why you can only go so far within your dream state and you come back. And like Matthew was saying earlier, everybody was telling him, his mother was the only one that could bring him back when he was in the coma state to talk to him. I think I read that right. That happens a shit ton.
I go back to it right there.
Yeah, that happens a shit ton. And if you follow that, incredible that he's actually talking about this, because this happens so often to where people in coma will say, I heard the nurses, I heard the doctors all tell my family, pull the plug. I need to die. I have no brain activity. I could hear everything in the room, but I could not speak, see, talk, like nothing. I was just dead laying there. And when they come out of it, they say verbatim what was said around them. And they always tell their parents and loved ones, thank you for talking to me every day. You kept my soul alive and you brought me back out of this. So I think it's so cool that he's talking about this.
It's just like people, who talk to you while you sleep. Just because you're not actively listening doesn't mean that your brain doesn't hear. It's still all being processed. You're just not actively listening to it in an awake state where it comes to you right away.
Yeah.
So I think that you can hear stuff around you. I've heard people talk about it like under anesthesia or during surgery or when they passed out. They can still hear everything, or they still have a memory of it.
This is incredible.
See, guys, and Jeff's in
Jeff's cool, Matthew.
Yeah, that's cool. Jeff's in the hospital, so I'm just gonna say you probably hear some interesting stories when they come back. Right? I heard you, and I saw this and that, right? Or maybe there are things there that are people that are still scared to leave.
We have people talk to family members all the time that are dying, that are very close to death. And they'll be calling to their family members who, in their mind, are obviously in the room. Talk. Last week, talking to my mom or my dad or my sister who died. So I feel like their family members, are around them when they die.
I feel the same way. I agree. I mean,
I just bought a book on that.
I'll talk to people sometimes that absolutely do not believe that anything's there, and to me, that's just
fever dreams.
I just don't understand that. It's just so strange because how your energy is. You can't see your feelings that you feel for your child, but they exist.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can prove that you love your child, but right? So if I'm gonna go, you don't love your kid, that's not even real. You're making that up. Whatever chemicals are in your body making that feeling is what you see. So if you're completely dead to the fact that somebody you love or whatever may be trying to reach out to you too and let you know it's okay, you're doing well, the idiocracy of that to me at times. And me, I don't get into all the hocus pocus stuff, but I just think we're so intricate the way we work, and I found it very interesting because we are a lot like robots. We have to recharge. We constantly have to keep lubricated.
Have a battery.
We have a way to regenerate cells by sending new cells.
Careful what you say.
I don't think he was going. I don't think he was going there, Jay. I don't think he was going there.
But if anybody's ever remember following the early movie of
Man-Child,
Blade Runner, and then you see the second one, you'll understand. They were self-creating each other now the same way in this whole evolutionary process where they started to become, and then there was no difference between their souls. So now the bodies had become synthetic or whatever, but the soul was now in that. You understand? So it was like, it's so, yeah, there's just so much to it for someone to be so cut and dry, you know?
So
and everybody I know has seen something, almost everybody. And
I have a question for you.
But go ahead.
I have a question for all three of you. And this is like a trick question in a sense. So listen to what I'm saying.
It is or it isn't?
It is.
Have you? Justin failed already one.
No, but
he's like,
this is how I look at life. Can you see the wind?
Only if you're watching Pocahontas.
I could see what the wind is doing. I can't see the wind itself, but I know it's there.
You can see the effects of the wind, but can you actually see the physical, actual energy of what the wind is?
Of course.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I can paint with the colors of the wind.
Okay, Pocahontas, calm down. But what I'm saying is, can you like actually see the wind? No, you can't. No. You only see the effects of it. So that applies in the dimensional of science of what happens in life after. We see effects of what happens. Though we do not see it, we know it exists.
All right, so here's interesting what she's talking about. Yes, our grandfather died in the room with us.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Lady Gaga. I'm like, I don't get it.
No.
I have this perfect, cool analogy, and nobody freaking whatever. You know what? I'm keeping my brain
perfect because you could even take that farther because gravity, the same thing. Somebody was making a point. I saw some reel the other day, just to hit tag on your thing real quick, where somebody was arguing that gravity wasn't real. That we just made it up or whatever, but gravity wasn't real.
Because it wasn't real because we're on a flat Earth.
Right.
I know.
It's not real. We can't see it, the whole 9 yards or whatever. And I'm like fucking looking around and I'm like,
but the rich people
we're not floating away.
But the rich people that fly up to space, that fly up there and look back down, they're not looking at a square box. Yeah. I don't want to get into it. There's going to be somebody so passionate about it. They'll be like, fuck you, I'll burn your whole studio down. That's what there's seven sons of a seventh son.
Troy, go ahead and talk about Gaga.
Me too. Round like Buddha. Right. But my grandfather passed away with us in the room, and my mom played his little. He wanted to be. He was a Marine, and he always just liked the Marine. So she played his Marine thing, and like he was gone, bro. Like he completely was gone, and she played that song for his leave, and then all of his vitals came back up, dude. And they hung there for a little bit, and then they left. That's a true story. Nobody's making that up. Could have been a coincidence, yes, but he completely flatlined. He was done. You saw his breath leave. All of his lines was like, it was done. So my mom started a song for him. He was proceeding into his next journey. And she started it, and it played just a little bit. And then all of it was boop, 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 and it went all the way back up really high. Boom, boom, boom. Like, I hear you, and then gone. So
get the fuck out of here.
You can be a skeptic and take it any way you want. It could have been a coincidence.
We all laid in bed with him. Yep.
Okay. I love you too.
Coincidence of what?
Nico's here. That's scary. All right.
Sliding in with a one-liner.
Let me fly.
You better get real professional real quick.
Let's find the block. But no, so he did that. So that could be a skeptical thing, like where you're talking about, like, oh, that was a coincidence. It could have been. I'm never gonna say that it was not possible that it was a coincidence, but it was also
a coincidence of what though?
It was also just as possible that it wasn't, and it was him saying, "Hey, listen, I heard that, and thank you." And I think anybody who's lost somebody close to them like that, just that his body recharged again real quick. You know, a surge of energy went through his body as he was passing at the time my mom played the song. That would have been the coincidence to it.
And
science will always try to be like, no,
right. That's
bodies
what I'm saying.
do.
But yeah, but how can you prove, even if you're going to say it's a coincidence or whatever, and it's because of this, that, or whatever, how do you even fucking go about proving that?
And that's really true, Matthew. A lot of people don't have that. I can touch on that too, Brittany. Like, I get around people.
I'm sorry.
On Matthew said that most people don't have the ability
to read the question
to feel or understand.
Shut up, Jay. He put it up and I didn't get a chance to see it.
He made a statement.
I got you, Matthew. Yeah, I see it.
No, not you. I was asking Troy because I literally can't read it. Like,
yes, I have to put it up like this and read it to Jay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
So, like, I work with animals, a wide variety of animals, and I understand them almost to a level of like, I feel you can connect with them in a way that you can move the way they move. You begin to understand the mechanics of it, soul through and out, honest to God. And so there isn't very many people that can really act like that or work that way with animals. I have been working with Justin where he walks into work with animals and he becomes like this completely different thing. And so he's not really focused anymore on the physical attributes of what's going on or the danger level. He's almost inside that animal's head. And if you work with him enough, you'll see that. And I haven't seen that. There's very few people that can do that. Very few. And my nephew Cody is one of those that can work with animals in such a fashion you just won't see it. Like and Justin knows what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
He can go into with something completely fucking neurotic and it just turns into like a kitten to him.
I'll give a perfect example.
Not anybody can do that. Not anybody can do that.
I'll tell a story about it.
We got that strong soul. Go ahead.
We got well, to your point, yeah. Like if I'm doing something,
if your mind's that open that you can do that, you have the visuals to see. Is my point to that story. Because anybody who's like that, they'll see things like, oh man, did you just see that over there, or did you feel that? They're just more open to it, even though they haven't figured out what socket to plug into yet. They still start to feel it. You really have to fine tune it. And I think sometimes that might take a lifetime. Go ahead, Justin.
Well, it's funny that you say it because I don't think I pay attention to it like that. But if I look at it and think about it, whenever I'm doing something with anything, could be any animal across the board. But when I'm doing it, I guess everything kind of does disappear. Whoever's in the room, whatever's happening, even if I have to talk and do a show, there's nobody there. It's just me and that's it.
But then seen that.
To Cody's point, Dick Bird. So
100%.
I got a bird for the park, and it was he was young, but he was full grown as a scarlet macaw, and I had him at the park. He was on display, and he had a neurotic type of he was an okay bird. He was okay with certain people, but we call him Dick Bird for a reason. He was a dick. But on top of being a dick, he kind of had this like little tick where like if people came up to see him, he
still does it to this day.
If you walked up to his enclosure, he would chew on his leg. So because of that, I had taken him off site because obviously I'm not just for patrons to walk and see a scarlet macaw in a cage in the enclosure with the other birds. I'm not going to have him chewing on his leg constantly just for the pleasure of people to see this bird. So we took him off site, obviously, because we don't want him chewing on his leg. And this bird did not like anybody. And like me, I spent hours and hours and hours with him on a chair next to me when I would do paperwork or whatever, just to get him to be like, hey, this guy's all right. He's not trying to do anything or whatever, just to build.
Except he's always leaning over trying to bite you.
He would nonstop. I'd have to always be like, what the fuck, man? Like, come on, we're not even doing anything. Here's a fucking peanut. Chill out. Cody comes over and Troy was in the back. And we were talking, and I was like, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Like, I don't want to just place him somewhere and have him do the same thing somewhere else, this, that, and the other. And then Cody's like, I'll get him. And I was like, dude, you're going to get fucking annihilated. And Cody sticks his hand out. This fucking bird walks right over and just totally cool with Cody. Fucking 100% cool with Cody. And at that point, I was like, that's your bird.
Yep.
And we sent that thing with Cody, and he's been great ever since. And then he had, he listens to his little Bob Marley outside and all that good stuff. And
he does, and he still goes after his foot now, but he doesn't chew it anymore. He just, when he gets pissed off, he doesn't want you near him. He holds up like he's like doing a record. He goes, but he bangs it against his beak. He doesn't bite it anymore.
For some reason, something about Cody was just different. Something about Cody and that bird was just different. And
he does that with alligators. He does that with all that shit too.
Yeah, I've seen him handle all kinds of animals, and he's so like matter of fact and nonchalant about it. It looks like he's done it every day for his entire life. I mean, he probably done most, but he's just pretty much easy with the animals.
He has, dude. He's done it a lot, man. We used to put him when he was little, man. I remember catching alligators with him and Justin at the village that day.
Mm-hmm.
We had to get in the water. He jumps right in there with you, bro. And he's got it. I mean, he got his ass fucking kicked, dude, in that truck when that alligator fucking went off. I mean, that son of a bitch was beat up and almost ripped the door off with Cody, man. Like,
he's been beat up a few times, but that mofo will jump into any heat of the situation, and he will listen to exactly what you say with no hesitation. And I think you kind of need that, but it does. You can see Cody's not exactly in the moment with everybody. He's listening, he's paying attention, but he's not in.
He's on the animal
with everybody. He's doing what he's doing to get through the situation or whatever.
Maybe his just resonates more with animals than it does with people.
He never would get bit. He would never get bit like you would think. Like I have a yellow anaconda. Cody will just take that yellow anaconda out, and it's striking 6,000 times, man. And he's just moving it around. Never hits them. And he just puts it bare hands, puts it right back. It's just, and some people have that. And that's what I mean. You have to be really open to see that, because most people just think animals are either icky or there's too much hair or stupid. Yeah. And really, they're actually a lot smarter than most of the people walking the planet. We all know this. And
that's
I think there's a lot to it. But a lot of people don't even understand their own pets.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've gone around someone and I'm looking at an animal, and it's almost like the animal's telling me, yeah, I do.
Please help.
But this person's a moron. They always think I'm upset. This one over here thinks I pissed the bed because I want to. It's so weird because I just see this animal and they're like, oh, it's this. I'm like, you're totally projecting your fear onto this animal.
Or your feelings.
And he has nothing to do with it. That you're not even reading him. You're not even reading him right. So, yes. Thank you, Jeff.
No problem.
That's a true statement. Anthropomorphism. He's talking about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, well,
you're putting your own thought or your own view on something.
I can't even speak it.
I'm not going to bring up the. I'm not going to bring.
There it goes.
I'm not going to bring up the. Yeah. But I'm not going to bring up the show or anything. I'm not going to bring up this whole new deal on TV because I'm not going to fucking give it any room to breathe or even have anybody try and watch it. But there's something on TV. Don't worry about what it is. Basically, it has something to do with animals, and the person saying that, you can raise it to be whatever you want it to be. Basically saying that you could take this thing that's not a person. It's not you. It's not your fucking kid. It's not your fucking best friend. It is what it is, and it always has to be what it is. Even when I train my dogs and shit like that for 6 months, I let them be fucking dogs. Like, we'll do basic stuff like, hey, we're going to go pee outside. Here's a treat when you do it or whatever, just so they get into the rhythm. Okay, we don't go to the bathroom in the house. We're going to do that outside. That's about as much as I'll go. But if I'm going to go any farther into training, and it goes for pretty much any animals, then I'm going to give them their time to be what they are and do what they do, because it's not a fucking human being. It's not my kid. I'm not trying to raise it to go to school and do this and do that and become a fucking lawyer or a fucking homeless guy on the street, whatever it is they want to do. But you can't, there's a situation where you can use your skills, watching certain behaviors, learning the animals for what they are, and working with them on the terms of what that animal is, what it can do, and what it needs to survive and also be good mentally. But you cannot fucking take something and turn it into you. I'm sorry. It's not going to fucking happen.
You can't. I can give you a really good example. I have a method that I use a lot, and I have.
How much meth do you use?
A lot.
You using meth a lot? That's terrible, man. You should get off of that real quick. I mean, granted, you've been doing a lot of work, and
I agree.
That's why you stay up so late.
It's a good comment, Ashley.
That's what it is. And I can say this about Ashley. I actually went out and saw her not too long ago. We were hanging out, and she was showing us the work she was doing with the Komodo dragons, and she has a really good knack for training. Like we know how to train reptiles, Justin. You and I both know how to do that, right? And I don't ever see anybody really know how to do it. Ashley knows how to do it. So I like to fuck around a little bit, or like, crinkle a wrapping paper or something, and then she'll get upset and look at me like, I know he's going to know what that is, because she's so good at doing it another way. And I really, really respect it. It's really good. So it's good to see that you actually do that. Training is not all just making funny hand movements and pretending you're cool. That's called habituating. No, I'm saying it's called habituating. I've seen it over and over and over and over and over and over again for almost 30 years. Right.
Well, it's repetition. There's a difference. We're seeing the repetitions that we're doing what we're seeing because
I'll get a snack if I do that.
But being able training to me would be, for one, I'm glad you said what you said, because that's the fucking, there is a way to train and there's a way to do things or whatever. But once you can figure that out, you can branch off and you can do, there's 1,000 different ways that you can. There's
I'm going to touch on that. We're running out of time. We got a couple minutes, but go for it, because I'm going to tell you what I mean by that.
Yeah, what you're saying. Go ahead. More than one way to skin a chicken. You can train things in a different way. You can get the same result with different things, right? But fuck, man, I lost my train of thought. You fucked me up on that one. You brain fucked me. Your brain.
No, it's okay.
What were we talking about?
You're talking about reptile training, and to you, training is different than what a lot of people think it is. But there's two types. But
no. I know.
Go ahead.
Yes,
okay.
yes. So you can do this habitual shit where you're doing the same thing over and over again. I'll give you a perfect example. If I feed a snake inside the enclosure, every time I open the enclosure, it's going to think that I'm feeding it when I open the enclosure to go and feed, right? It's just habituated to know that every time I open that door, you haven't come in here for shit ass else, but every time you open this door, there's a rat here. I'm going to strike whatever comes out because I think you're feeding, right? So I haven't trained the shit, but it's smart enough to know.
They're smart because they're reptiles and they anticipate your move.
Right. To me, training is this, right? So you can get the animal to do this, and you have your commands, you have your thing, you have your station, this, that, and the other, but can you use it to have it do something different? Or is it just doing the same things over and over and over again because it sees the same shit, but you can't get it to do something else? Then it's not trained, it's just fucking knows what you're doing here. So it's reacting for this because it wants that piece of food, because it knows that once that door opens, a piece of food is there. The training would be for me to open that door and get them to stop doing that shit.
That's why I hook train a lot of my animals. Like when I used to have the big constrictors, I'd open the door and give them a little rub on the head with a hook. And now they know I'm coming and the food's not.
Right.
That's a very easy way to get them to know that. So my point to what Justin was saying is
that's awesome.
I get the pleasure of working with a lot of different things and building a relationship with it, understanding it, right? Understanding it's what its needs, not making it do anything, not do anything like everybody's like, oh, we got to do this. Justin and I were talking the other day, and I decided I was going to start training my owl to not do anything for food. So now I just go into his place for shifting at night. I put his eagle box on the floor and I go shift, and he jumps in it. Finally, now food motivated, nothing, but now he knows the routine and he's habituated. And that is called habitual training. What that does is when you're in a zoological park, everybody has to be the same to keep the sprocket moving forward. So training,
well, because you have
fancy, I see people training alligators at their house the same way you would at a zoo. I don't do that. There's no need to do that when you can have them do different things with a relationship with you, because those are your alligators. Those are alligators that you take to places. Why would you want to bring another big one in? Yeah. Why would you want to make it the same as like, oh, I can put a stick up or I can stand in the water with a pole?
Well, you could do the same thing that everybody else does, or you could do it your way. But the whole bottom line is if
we're working for a facility, yes,
right?
Because
right, because the next person, if say you leave, the next person has to be able to replicate the same thing.
100%.
Yeah.
Totally like when my father trained the sea lions over there or whatever, because if he's lead trainer, he's not going out to do the shows. He's training the fucking animals to do their routine, and then 100 other people that are going to get hired and fired back and forth that are trainers are really just coming in. And that's why the clicker comes in, because you're not speaking in any tone of voice or whatever. That's why it's hard if like a dude trains this animal and you bring a chick in and the voices are different and you're trying to use the same commands. You may not get the same response because they're seeing a different face with a different tone of voice. It's not the same shit, not the same depth, tone. You may be speaking softer, louder, whatever. With a clicker, it's just a monotone thing. Everybody can do the same shit. So when you have like the SeaWorld shit, the trainers come in, that dude may have never trained fucking anything. They may have brought him there and been like, here's your bucket of fish. Click this button twice. Get him to do this. When you see him turn that corner, click it again. Let him know that he's halfway there. He gets over here. He jumps through this rope. Throw him a fucking fish. And that guy's like, fucking all right. So you just train the guy. The fish is already trained. I'm sorry, the dolphin. Don't yell at me. I know.
Oh, yeah.
They'll get over it. But I was going to say, Jay, there's a lot to that. I remember
you're 100%
you used
right.
the word everybody's a trainer. Reptile training and mammal training are two different things, folks, first of all. Second of all, they put a lot of so-called animal trainers into work with crocodiles, and they have no idea what they're doing. None whatsoever. I don't care if you're watching now. You have no idea what you're doing. You have nothing. These animals are 10 times as smart as any mammal you have ever trained. They're anticipating everything you're going to do. They're figuring out a way to outsmart you every time you walk in the exhibit. Every time.
Well,
because in their mind, they pretty much own you anyways. If you think about
it. You have all these animals with all these different levels of intelligence, and everybody. I think I could say for the vast majority of people, most people would think that alligators, crocodilians would be an absolutely stupid animal that has no thought process, no calculated thought process.
100%
they don't
wrong.
know shit. It's just a mindless killing machine. We hear it over and over and over. But I can fucking take a dog that I found off the street, a stray, bring him in, and I can get him conditioned and then make him comfortable. And then I could start working with him and training him. It's going to take a little while. we can get an alligator, and within 2 weeks, we can get him to stop charging for food. We can get him to station. We can get him to do his thing. We can get him to hold there, and it's a lot faster. So I think
because I believe that they're problem solvers.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, my pig outside, I trained her when she was little. I haven't done anything but love the pig for years, bro. And every now and again, she'll walk out the gate. Like if I leave the gate unlocked, she'll push it and walk out. And I don't chase her around or anything. She's not going anywhere. But if she goes too far to the front or whatever, I'll turn over and I'll go, pig, come. And she turns around and walks her ass all the way over. And then we'll do our little routine. I go right, left. She'll go right and left, do her little circles and stuff, tell her to sit. And then I'll give her a treat or whatever. We haven't done that in fucking forever. And I did it the other day and I was like, I wonder if she remembers.
Don't you remember?
Smart as shit. Fuck yeah, dude. Smart as shit.
Intelligence.
It's not like we.
Intelligence.
Yeah. But nobody wants to give credit to certain things or whatever. Granted, yes, the fluffy shit gets a lot more credit than the shit that's scary or whatever you
rolls around in its own slop.
The Egyptians loved their crocodiles and admired them and believed they had such high intelligence and used them for multiple things.
Well, for
they
good
were
reason.
in high regard. There were pharaohs that had them as pets. They would sit alongside the chairs with them. They were trained.
And when they died,
and there's been documentation of that.
The crocs, too.
Crocs.
Yeah, with them, yeah.
And
so when you have an old civilization that we were taught, they didn't know shit, which let's just go back, they did. When you can look back through their texts and see the animals that they revered as intelligent, and you don't touch those were untouchable animals. Look at the intelligence. Look at how smart those animals actually are, and why you can understand ancient civilizations would have respected those species.
All I'm going to say is I have a method that I use with what I was going to say we get like crocodiles or alligators that are, they can be shitty. And so, yeah, if you think about one in the wild that's stressed, what does it do? It hides. Right?
Yeah. So
we'll condense them into something smaller and dark. Crocodiles like 4-sided areas, and they like to be able to look straight out. They all like it. If you put a PVC pipe in a baby crocodile's enclosure when it's little, it'll spend most of its time in the PVC pipe.
Well, it's just like in the wild. If you're out in the open, you're fucked.
Right. So what you do is you put them in like a big trough. Say you put a 4-foot alligator in a 6 or 8 foot trough. Leave them in there a week. Feed them. Make them comfortable. Then slowly release them into their exhibit and ask them to come out. Once you make that animal a lot more relaxed, because you can grab it. You can throw it in there. Get in there and go do it. You can do that. I've seen that done. And it just makes for a high-strung animal. But if you relax them like that and give them that time to really get their head in the game and realize they're not being hurt, it's just the outcome is so much different. That's why the Siamese Crocs we have do so well, because they're big. They could kill you, but they're not here to hurt us. There's no threat, and we know them, and it's part of life. Like it's our surroundings now. Is what I'm saying.
And is it not 10 times easier to work with it on that front than to work with
100%. And I'll tell you why else I say that. Don't try to make your animals at home a zoo animal. That's ridiculous, number one. Number two, a crocodile never forgets. Right? I've seen
they remember.
They hold vengeances, dude. And they don't care if you even look like the person that did something to you, they will try to kill you every time. Dominic, he doesn't like chubby people. Anybody that's chubby or fat, they go in that
remember we did that with Joe too.
Yep. He fucking will try to kill him because something happened. I think I know who it was that did it.
I know exactly who the hell it was, and so do you.
I do, and nobody.
That's a pretty good idea now too.
And he never forgot. The crocodile never forgot, so it didn't matter who it was.
It's like TikTok. Never forgot about Captain Hook.
Exactly. And I won't
never forget.
So I'm not ever going to say that a crocodile is not going to exploit you, because if it does not like you, it doesn't mean that you did something to it. It's probably going to hate you because you look like someone who did, because they don't care. They don't pick and choose. They just like the Yakuza. They're going to spray a whole restaurant down of innocent children and families to hit one guy.
But they got their guy.
Do that. And they're smart like that, and they survive.
You fucking hit Yakuza for that shit, bro. But it's funny because I didn't even buy it with the whole thing. With Dominic not liking the chubby people, and we had Joe with us, who was, chunky, and it's okay that I say that. He said it himself. He was perfectly fine with it. He's a fine dude. And we did the little test because I was like, it's not going to work or whatever. So I worked with him. Troy worked with him. Flavio was there. Joe comes out, and that motherfucker was not having that shit. And I'm not going to say, who he was angry at. I'm not going to tell everybody it was John LeBron or anything like that. I'll keep that to myself. But at the end of the day, he remembered that shit. And I didn't think that shit was going to be like that. But when Joe came out, he definitely was like, fuck, you look like that dude that I'm not going to say whose name is John LeBron. And he fucking tried to kill him.
Yep.
That's
and they
crazy.
will. They're smart.
Yep.
If you come to my house and you try to manipulate me in my own house, you better be fucking good at it. That's all I'm going to tell you. Because if I catch on,
Okay,
I just think that's how they do it.
Out.
But anyways, guys, we're 10 minutes in, and I gotta cut it off. But I appreciate everybody's thing. Yeah, we're gonna cut it off.
Some weird stuff today that you've been talking about. You got Juergens. You're gonna cut it
We
off.
were gonna talk. We were gonna talk about the story of Barry Wood. I think I'm gonna leave that for another episode. And
we're doing Wood now too. I think your innuendos today are just a little bit over the board. Okay, you're gonna bury your wood. Where are you gonna bury your wood at? Why are we talking about this? Jesus,
but anyways,
we got Jeff,
we'll have some other
guy.
things coming off. The following week we'll be out. We've got another week. We're leaving again. All three of us will be on the road. We've got one more week of filming. We're going to be out of the state again doing that, and hopefully by the time we get back, we'll have all the answers that everybody's waiting for, and we'll give it to you, and really go from there. So I can just tell you that that's what we're doing. It's going to be a good time. We got one more week to pack under our belt of film work, and then it's going to happen. So at least by October,
we're down to crunch time, though.
It'll be wide open in October, but we will start promoting and talking and letting everybody know what's going on. It's just been a lot of work, guys. It's been 6 months of just a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and you're going to understand. You're going to understand when we're able to tell you.
I think I can say too, like, everybody has to remember, yes, we've done a lot of work on this, and it's very fun, and everybody's excited to let everybody know. But also too, it is hard on us because when we come back, we have 8 times the amount of work that we had from before. Say what now?
Right.
I just
You went back to what I was saying before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, no, you said it was hard on us, and with you, I just can't stop.
But it does get hard if you catch my drift. When you want to do that wood. And we have a lot of work, and then we get home. Like, I'm hoping that the next few months opens up a new door for all of us where we can spend a little bit more time doing a little bit more of what we want to do instead of what we have to do, and hopefully that does happen. So just bear with us. I think that we'll be able to. And
you got to understand, guys, what we're doing. It takes a lot. We're in jets a lot too. We get jet lagged, and it's not like we're not working in Florida. We have been all over the goddamn globe. All right. Sometimes in altitudes where Justin and I couldn't breathe, in the middle of nowhere, left on a summit in the middle of British Columbia by ourselves, and a cameraman. Okay,
that should take it out.
So when you're walking and you got snowshoes and you're way down with a 55, 60-pound bag on your back of gear, when I mean work, like, it's crazy, and we have to stay there all fucking night long, dude.
Yeah, no cozy hotels, okay? No cozy hotels for us. Just gonna say that right now.
Well, we snuggled. You're gonna see quite a bit of that.
Yeah.
And, the sky.
You gotta stay warm, bro.
We do. I don't care. Justin had a way of doing that, but listen, there was the sky. The sky was so, when you're that high up and there is no light pollution, it looks like the galaxy pictures you see. It's unbelievable, man.
Cool.
It is pretty.
Unreal. So there were some joys. There were some joys to it, and you work your balls off there, and you're getting to an airport, and you're drug around, and they break your shit, and blow your suitcases out, and then half the film crews, they lost their fucking bag, the microphones are smashed. I mean, that type of life is it's fun, but it's still a lot. It's not like it's all fun and games. And I mean, I know Ashley gets it; she's done enough of it. So at the end of the day, I love it, and I'm excited to tell everybody, and it's going to be a really good time. And so we got one more week, and then after that, we're going to start promoting, and then we'll tell you, and we'll get all the finals just because we're in contract, and it takes a lot. But we're going to tell everybody.
And we do have some cool, like, behind the scenes videos that we were filming when we were able to do some just free stuff in between, like, what we had to do for work. And when we get to release that, I think you guys will get a kick out of there. There's some good stuff of Troy and Jay.
They'll also
we had some good stuff. Yeah,
there's some blooper reels that probably won't make the cut,
But we should be able to post them though, like on
I mean, there was some
I'm
really
talking
good
about
stuff
on their end. On their end, though, there's going to be some shit that we're not going to be able to get. No way.
Yeah, but they'll post it.
They'll post it, or they'll give it to us to post. For sure.
Love that.
Like the time I opened fire into the woods, and right after Alec Baldwin would have just killed somebody, bro. They're like, you can't be shooting guns during the set, bro. What are you doing? Everybody died. Like they all died. They all just died.
They did.
I said, damn, that was loud. That was loud.
They're like, well,
it was just me. It's me, Jay, and the bear guy, bro. Boom, and they're like looking around. They're like, what are you doing?
I have that on film.
I literally fucking said, get me some bullets so I could shoot Troy in the leg, and they fucking bought it. So you don't fucking bring two numbnuts who barely have fucking the attention span of two 12-year-olds
with guns
that are ready to fuck shit up, and you hand them a gun and bullets, and you expect nothing to go down. Yeah, fucking
bro,
right.
It's cool. It actually went off. So I really blame Alec for that one. Whatever he did, he's the one that caused that problem, getting everybody all upset about that. But
everybody
at the end
was
of the day,
upset.
They were very upset. But there'll be some things. There'll be some things that you'll see, and it'll be a good time. You'll see a lot of seriousness. So we were serious about what we were doing too, and so it's going to be good. And I'm pretty excited about it. So by next week, we'll be able to let that go for you guys and really touch base, and hopefully we'll have some stuff to talk about. But again, I appreciate everybody coming out to the Motley Croc show and supporting us and hanging out and talking with us. We had some really good times. We had a good full cast looking tonight. We had a lot of people watching, and I appreciate it. The comments were awesome. Thank you again. We just try to do this to have a good time, man. We're just here to have fun. So we appreciate you, and
thank you, Matthew, for sharing that story too.
That's right, Holly.
It was really cool. Thank you for sharing.
And we like
that. That stuff is really cool.
Well, we like it when you guys share. We want everybody to have a good time. Stay lubricated, stay lubricated, stay hard, bury your wood, whatever Troy was saying tonight. That's what we want for everybody.
And on that note, we're going to go